Okay, we were learning the sugia of Hod Hadar and the olamot and the sefirot. Everybody remember? In Tehillim Kuf Daled, Baruch Nafshi Es Hashem. Baruch Nafshi Hod Hadar Lavashta. That we talk about HaKadosh Baruch Hu Hod Hadar Lavashta. Baruch Nafshi Es Hashem. Hashem Elokai Gadalta Ma'oid. David HaMelech speaks, Baruch Nafshi Es Hashem, Hashem Elokai Gadalta Ma'oid. So my nefesh is being mevarech as Hashem, which is a fascinating idea. When am I giving Hashem brachas? Baruch Nafshi Es Hashem, and this is what I'm saying, Hashem Elokai Gadalta Ma'od. Hod, you're very great. Gadalta, you're very gadol. Hod, Hadar Lavashta. Your lavush is Hod, and your lavush is Hadar. So we seem to have three things over here. Gadalta Ma'od, Hod, Hadar. Gadalta, Hod, Hadar. Gadalta Ma'od would seem in the sequence of things to be the deepest level, right? Something like Hakel, Hagadol, Hagibar, V'Hanoira. So in the sequence of things, so Gadalta Ma'od seems to be the deepest level, and Hod and Hadar Lavashta, they're Lavushim. Now we say Ota Or Kasalma, you, David HaMelech speaks to Hashem, Ota Or Kasalma, you put on, you wrap yourself in light, which is a garment. Nota Shamayim Kayiriya, and you take the heaven, the Shamayim, and you're stretching it out as if it's a cloth. Curtain. Kayiriya. Curtain. This is pretty wild stuff. David HaMelech know how to give a bracha to Hashem. So what we were concentrating on, when we ended off on Tuesday, what we were concentrating on was the difference between Hod and Hador. What's the difference between Hod and Hador? So I just want to learn with you for a minute this Malbim. The Malbim is in Chumash. It's not the Malbim we spoke about last time. Different Malbim. Malbim says, the pasuk says, "Loisasu ovel b'mishpat." When it comes to judging dinim, the dayan should not be corrupt. Don't be corrupt. Don't be ma'avel asadin. Rashi says, "Mlamich adayin amekalkel asadin kari ovel." It's called an avla. An avla. An avla means a corruption. Corruption is a very deep word. Taking something which is, what does corruption really mean? Avla. Distortion. A distortion. You're taking something which is MS and you're taking away from its MS. So you shouldn't do an avla in the mishpat. Like sisa pnei dal. Don't have rahmanas on somebody because he's poor. Like sehadar pnei gadol. And don't give extra hidor to somebody who's a gadol. Rather, b'tzadek tishpait amisecha. Just the simple question on the pasuk that screams out is, it's not symmetrical, this pasuk, because leisisa pnei dal means, what's the simple shot? Leisisa pnei dal?
Don't lift up the poor.
Right. Don't lift up the poor. Or as a person, look at the din onto itself. So the the synchronism of that would be what should you not do to a gadol? Don't put him down. So like Hadar pnei gadol, don't give him Hador because he's rich. So both people don't pick them up. It's an interesting thing. In other words, if I was writing this, I would have said, don't pick up the poor person. And if there's a rich person, like sometimes there's a tendency, I have this tendency, there's a rich person, what? I can't hear you. Yeah. Yeah, not taking anything, just but don't put him down just because he's rich. don't. In other words, I want to show you how fair I am that I'm going to put you down. That's like sisa pnei like sisa. Yeah.
That would be the same as lo sisa as pnei.
Okay, then why doesn't he use the same lashon? If it's
okay.
the same thing,
No,
so you say both cases, don't pick somebody up.
No, but
don't pick him up because he's poor. Don't pick him up because he's rich.
Say if you pick one up, then if you pick up the poor, you don't need to say don't put down the rich because it's kind of that's the way that's the way it is. And if you're picking one up, then the other one is by definition lower.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's a difference.
Assuming they're not entire with each other. Like sisa pnei dal like timer anihu. Take it off your Meiser Cheshbon. Lose this case, and you'll take it off your Meiser Cheshbon. Look, he's an ani, Rachmanis. Not allowed to do that. As I can bedin v'nim some misparnis v'nikiyus. Not allowed to do that. But like Hadar pnei gadol says Rashi, shloi toimer asher huzeh ben gedolim huzeh heicha vayisheno va'era v'vushasei. How can I be mavayish him? He's a Velt's usher. By the way, have you ever sat on as a dayan on a dentira? It's absolutely amazing to me how people are not embarrassed to say, "Do you know who I am?" It's straight out. Do you know who I am? How can it's amazing. Like they're not acting it, like they're actually saying. Like, do you realize? On the other hand, if you go to a good beis din, let's say you're a Rav and you're going to a good beis din, you're at an immediate disadvantage because the beis din is trying to show fairness, so they're always sisa pnei dal. I mean, if they're not a good beis din, a bad beis din, they're always sisa pnei dal. My point is, it's very difficult to look at people, or as the case. But the lashonos are interesting, like sisa pnei dal. Like sisa pnei dal. How do you understand it, Rav? Like sisa pnei dal. Just crunch this one a little bit. Like sisa pnei dal.
No. Yeah.
Don't.
Take a man with the spirits.
Siyas can also be like to
Yisa Hashem pana velecha.
Yeah.
Show favoritism. So that the taich of this pasuk is Yisa Hashem pana velecha. That don't show favoritism to the dal. That's the pshat. And don't give a Hador to the gadol. What's the Hador? What would the Hador be in this case? The Hador in this case would be that I'm going to be mezakeh and bedin. I'm going to be mechayim and bedin. That's quite a Hador. Hador, the Gemara says, Eizu Hador, like layamid bim kaimai, layeshav bim kaimai, yeshav yamid lay b'tayis dal adam shloi talmid chacham. Every talmid chacham, whether you're Rebbe or not, you have to give him a Hador. That's the din. Hador is that if he comes within dal amos, you have to stand up. If he even not the first time of the day, you have to stand up a little bit. Layeshav bim kaimai, you shouldn't sit in place of a talmid chacham. Laysamid bim kaimai, layana bim kaimai. Notice a lot of people do that, by the way. Not that I'm a talmid chacham, but notice a lot of people standing around when somebody asks a shayla, they like to answer. It's a doctoristic thing. Even if the question is like, how do you spell? It's interesting. Anyways, pasuk. There's a lot to be with dying. But let me just tell you the Malbim here for a second. Lo Hadar pnei gadol. We want to know what that means. Hadar hu hayofi hachitzoni hamiyuchad l'chol davar shaboy neder b'minay. Hadar is the outer beauty which everything has according to what it is. In other words, the beauty of an esrog is different than the beauty of a piece of furniture. Right. They say one of the big gedolim. I think it was the Beis Halevi. The Beis Halevi made a shidduch for his son. And, no, not the Beis Halevi. Rabbi Haber made a shidduch for his son, I believe, and it was like a big miyucheses and a big chachama and even an ashir. And Rabbi Haber's son said, "No, he's not interested." So why aren't you interested? Such a good shidduch. No, not interested. Why? Pushed him. Well, he said he finds her homely. He finds her to be ugly. So this was bothering him. So Rabbi Haber says, "What is this, an esrog?" No din of Hador, no din of Hador on a kala isha. Wasn't this an esrog? You're getting your halachas mixed up.
Did he marry her?
I met this one. No. But anyways, everything has its Hadar. So Kimo creates Hadar. Esrog. Hadar HaKarmel. B'chor Shoyroi Hadar Loi. Hu HaHadar Am Yuchad B'minei Atzemech V'achai. But it's all referring to skin-deep external beauty. That's what Hadar is. Brings a lot. Hadar Zekenim Seva. Hadarta Chasidim Roim myself Begroinam. Okay, we can all kinds of psukim. But who Muvdal mean Hoyd. It's very different than Hoyd, says the Malbim. Shehu Hoyd Hu Ha'inyan Hapnimi Hatsuri Hamiyapes Adavar Mitzad Surasai. So we always need to distinguish between Hod and Hadar. That Hod has to do with inner beauty. Hod has to do with the Etzem Tsuras Ha'adam. Etzem Tsuras Ha'adam. I mean, as a mashal, like the Hod would be a beautiful woman or a beautiful person, and Hadar is with makeup. So Hadar is external. Now, the Hadar part could be the skin. But so Hod goes deep into what this person is really. And then, sometimes, with the kala, you want it to be an esrog. It wasn't an esrog. An esrog has to be mohadar. So interesting that it's interesting an esrog itself creates Hadar. Creates Hadar means that the outside of it, it feels like such a non-Jewish thing to do, to be standing there looking at the esrog, looking at this, look at the pnimius Hadar. Why are you looking at the... And yet the esrog represents more than any of the arba minim, represents the lave. And the lave, we're looking at the Hadar. Okay.
We want to take it all the way to the surface.
What? Oh, take it all the way to the surface. Hadar. Okay. So we're making a distinction between Hod and Hadar. Ha-Hod, this is the underlinable point. Ha-Hod ha-atzmi ha-tsuri va-Hadar ha-chitzoni va-Hadar ha-chitzoni. Hod ha-atzmi ha-tsuri va-Hadar ha-chitzoni. So one is the inside, one's the outside. Ubesifri, the Sifrei in Parshas Haracha. Lamed says the pasuk Shenitem lo'Hod leMoshe v'Hadar leYehoshua. The Chazal that Moshe Rabeinu had Hod and Yehoshua had Hadar. She'ilu Nosan is lashon of Chazal. She'ilu Nosan Hod leYehoshua ein kol ha'olam yachol lamod bo. Nobody would be able to stand. If Yehoshua would have had Hod and Hadar, that would have been too much. So how did they deal with Moshe? Yeah. So therefore, v'nasato mei hoidcha Allah. But what does that mean? Ein ha'olam yicholim lamod bo. Nobody would be able to. Hod v'Hadar, you're too much for me. Your inside is good. Your outside. So what did they do? It just gave him an external value. That's what it means. What could this possibly mean? Yehoshua didn't have a panemius. What does it mean? What does it mean, Rebutza?
You have the Kona Shem Kol Lamud Boy. It's not Chal. It means that they, in that context, the Lamud Boy means that they couldn't resist. That they couldn't they couldn't carry it out.
So if Yeshua, listen to what we're saying, if Yeshua would have had the Hod of Moshe, Ein Kol Olam,
They couldn't resist him.
Ein Kol Olam Yochol Lamoid Boy.
Maybe they couldn't resist.
Couldn't resist it, would they go hug him? What would they
Yeah,
do?
they wouldn't have free will.
Huh?
They wouldn't have free will. It'd be like the Rebbe, you know. Whatever he says, that's it. You know.
That's the way it was anyway, no?
Because maybe Moshe was on top, so it was really separate from the others.
Be overwhelmed by it. Overwhelmed by it.
Let me tell you what I think it means. I think it means actually, Punktverkehr, I think, yeah. Yehoshua needs to be approachable. Moshe was standing on the Har, always, and Yehoshua was in the Machane. He needs to be approachable. He needs to be able to talk to him. It's like the two different kinds of Gedolim. The Gadol on the Har, on the mount, and then there's the Gadol in the field. Ne Yehoshua b'machane. Yehoshua was in the field. His nevuos were in the field. It's like Avraham and Yitzchak. Avraham was always on the Har. Avraham shenikra Har. Yitzchak was always b'mayim. V'yetze Yitzchak l'suach basodeh. He was in the field.
He said Malchus.
Yeah. So there was a Hadar. It's a beautiful thing. You can approach Yehoshua. If you would have had the Hod of Moshe, it would have been too much of a pachad for the people. And at this point, coming into Eretz Yisrael, which is what Yehoshua did, and bringing everything down to earth, and this is what we're talking about, the Malchus, bringing everything down to earth in Malchus, which is Eretz Yisrael, so we needed to be strong in the midah of Hadar and not in the midah of Hod. What do you think? Means that there's so many things going on. You know, there's the sefirot going on, there's the olamot going on, and it's being depicted by Hod v'Hador. Netzach, Hod, that's Moshe Rabeinu. Netzach, Hod, Moshe, Aaron. This is like these are like the beginnings of the Madrega, but that was in the midbar. In the midbar, where everything was coming from Shamayim, everything was Yisarusa de La'ela in the midbar. Everything was, the mun was from Shamayim, the cloud was from Shamayim, the Eish was min Shamayim, the Slav was min Shamayim, the Torah was min Shamayim. Everything was min Shamayim in the midbar. It was all Yisarusa de La'ela. Everything's coming from, and Moshe and Aaron were Zoche to be Hod, Netzach and Hod. They were actually the conduits, Yachin and Boaz. They were actually the conduits for from going up to down. Eretz Yisrael is a whole different place over here. Eretz Yisrael, bringing the people into Eretz Yisrael, all of a sudden there's no man, there's no slav, there's no anan, there's no eish, there's milchama, there's people dying. There's Eretz Yisrael, Niknas B'Yisurim, which every one of us knows. Eretz Yisrael, Niknas B'Yisurim. What's happening over here? The touch, you know that guy who jumped up out of the air balloon, it was 10 miles up in the sky a couple of weeks ago, you know what I mean? Somebody went up in an air balloon 10 miles, that's outer space. 10 miles. That's high. It was like a 747 goes 2 miles.
An airhead.
Airhead. 2 miles. 10 miles. You could see the picture of the Earth underneath him. And he jumped. And he was sponsored by Red Bull. He jumped. So that's how I was thinking. I was watching this. It's like a 3-minute video. It's actually 7 minutes took him to get to hit the ground. It's all nice until you get to the ground.
Did he have a parrot?
But yeah, and the trick was, the trick was that at a certain point there was a coach on the ground who was telling, okay, open the parachute. Like that guy was about 80. I was like worried that he was going to fall asleep. He's in the suit. No, it was a big step for mankind because they have to invent a certain kind of clothing that can handle this kind of pressure. But he's like up in the air and he's spinning around. He's not a straight dive over here, spinning around in circles, and he's got to keep consciousness. And the begodim have to be such that the face thing didn't get fogged up, and they had to have contact with Earth the whole time. But literally jump from outer space into space. Everything was so nice, yafeh, until you get within 100 feet from the ground. It's very nice. It's a nice deal. Malchus is the hard part. Like chesed, gvura, tiferes, netzach, chod, yesod, it's all woo, smooth going. Coming to Eretz Yisrael is Malchus. Eretz Yisrael, lichtness be yisur. That's where you need the parachute. That's where you need to. And in Eretz Yisrael, all of a sudden, the mitzvahs of Eretz Yisrael that the people had, plant this, don't plant that, don't plant this and this together. When you plant it, watch it grow. When it grows, take it to the base of Mikdash, separate this, separate that. All these things are chutzlars we know from. We know from these things. The Meraglim saw this. They brought back grapes. Like, this is grapes. We're talking Mon. We're talking Slav. They bring back grape. This is what you want. This is Eretz Yisrael is tough. Aliyah is a tough thing. But it is Malchus, and Malchus, is a difficult level. So when Yoshua came into Eretz Yisrael, it had to go from Hod to Hadar. He had some Hod, Benasata Mehodcha Olav. Give him some of your Hod, but it had to go into Hadar because he had to be not otherworldly any longer. The leader of Klal Yisrael had to be of the land, and that's called Hador. That's what the Malbim says. So I think it's a little bit precarious from what you're saying. Not. You're right. Otherwise, it would be overwhelming. But the point is, there's gedolim like you see, and you kind of want to run away.
Overwhelming is also unapproachable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then there's gedolim you see, you want to hug them. So Yoshua was the hugging type.
How it could just also be seen in the context of the comparison between the sun and the moon, like the giver and the receiver, like the Araf is more approachable than the sun.
Emes. And Moshe was the Chama, and Pnei Yoshua, Pnei Levana. So I don't want to get lost here. So David HaMelech said to Hashem, Hod v'Hadar levashta. So he meant to say what, Refine?
Hod v'Hadar.
Meaning, you're in the world of Atzilus, you're in the world of Bria, you're in the world of Yitzira, and then Lavashta, by the time we come to Lavush, you're also in the world of Hadar, you're in this world. So Hadar equals Malchus. That's really the main thing that I want to bring up. Hadar equals Malchus.
That's expression to be down to earth.
Down to earth. Touching ground is the hard part. Yisoid, and then Malchus. The nisyonis of being Adam are very different than what a Malach has. No Yisod Nisyonis, no problems. It's all Oretz, it's all Malchus, which causes Kol Habayot Shalana. But that's what it's all about. It's all about making a Dira La Kadosh Baruch Hu B'Tachtonim. So
Adam has its own beauty. It's its own beauty.
Nothing like a walk in nature, huh?
Yeah.
So Hod v'Hadar levashta. Let me. I apologize for doing this. It doesn't pass, but I couldn't find my sefer Alshich, so I looked online. I want to read this to you. Not that this is. Hod v'Hadar levashta. Amar Chazal. Asara levushin lavash HaKadosh Baruch Hu kishabara ha'olam. In Yanam, the pshat in that is, that's a chazal. Hashem wore 10 levushim, like a kohen gadol wears a kohen, or Shmona begadim wore 10 begadim. When he created the world. Al derech asara ma'amaris nivra. In Yanam, shabara kisei hakavod, means he made the kisei hakavod. So we're getting here information that it's not well known, He created the Kisei HaKavod, Kemesech, and that was a screen ben Gedulasai, between the Gedula of Hashem, remember, Gadalta Ma'oid, Hod v'Hadar, Lavashta. So it starts off with Gedula. So there's the Gedula of Hashem, and the Olam HaShafel and everything else. There has to be a Kisei HaKavod. So here's a new shot in the Kisei HaKavod, that the Kisei HaKavod is where the world of Gashmias, if you will, begins, or the metaphysical world begins, where there's a screen, Ki'ilu, between, let's put it in easy language, like the spheros. There's the screen between the keser of the three top spheros, which we don't talk about too much, and that which is already creating the world, and that starts with the Kisei HaKavod. That starts with the Kisei HaKavod. So that's what the Kisei HaKavod is all about. V'hu or of Meha Elyon, the Kisei HaKavod. Kavod is an interesting word. Why is it Kisei HaKavod? V'hu or of Meha Elyon v'adayin lo hispiku bara hamalachim these worlds where there's a Kisei HaKavod, and it's not maspik, it's not enough. We earthlings can't deal even with the Kisei HaKavod. Certainly we can't deal with Hashem himself. Bli gvul, it's not something that any of us can be masig. So there's a Kisei HaKavod. We have a Mesach HaMavdil. Even the Rambam speaks about this Mesach HaMavdil in the Shemona Prakim. He talks about, even the Rambam speaks about that Nevuah is breaking through the Mesach HaMavdil, being able to break through this Mesach HaMavdil. The Rambam learns in his Rambam way that the Mesach HaMavdil is my Midos Rois. Also Emes. Midos Rois, if I'm a Balgaiva, if I'm a Balkas, where I have no shaykhus to the Edelkeit of Ruchnius that we're talking about. But Al Pi Kabbalah, there's Godalta Ma'od. So what did you do? Hod Hadar Lavashta. Godalta Ma'od, Kama, and therefore Hod Hadar Lavashta. Follow me, this is important. So these worlds, Shebeza Lamos Elu Nikraim L'chach Me'emes Olam Debria V'Yitzira. Remember we learned 4 worlds? Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira. Bria Yitzira is from the Kisei HaKavod and the Malachim. And during that place, that's when everything starts to take form. Bria starts to be created, and Yitzira. So Bria, as we know it, Reishis bara Elokim es Shamayim ves Haaretz. By Yotzer Hashem Elokim es Adam. Bria and Yitzira is a journey in the two worlds, which we know the least about. We know more about the world of Hashem, Atzilus, that we know about Bria and Yitzira. V'heim kilavushim la'leikus. These worlds of Bria Yitzira. Here's an insight of the Alshich HaKadosh. Heim kilavushim la'leikus u'masochim. They are levushim. They were the masks or the screens. Nota Shamayim ki Yiriyah. Va'arishon hanelam karahoid, says the Alshich. Shehu inyan hispashtus hashefa. Read you these words. Va'beis hamiskala yoser l'nivraim kara hadar. So that which is hidden is called Hod, and that which is miskala is called Hadar. So we're not talking about, I'm going to be clear, we're not talking about anything superficial. We're talking about something which is more miskala. Can you say that a flower which has blossomed is more superficial than a flower that hasn't? It's more developed. So blossoming is a blossomed flower is a closed flower and a seed plus. So when something goes through this whole gestation, you called it, when something goes through this whole process, you're not saying that this as opposed to that. We're saying no, that the perach, the hiskalus, that's what perach means. Perach means the hiskalus, pre. Para Adam, Yadoi Bakol v'Yad Kol. The Gashmius Shabai it means it's coming to completion. So now, when we talk about, let's go back to this for a second. When we talk about an Esra, so when we're not looking at like what kind of mishagas to sit there and look at this, to be medactic in the skin. Can you imagine somebody wants to get into like the best yeshiva in the world, and the guy says, "Let me look at your skin." That's the fair hair. Let me see what you know how to learn. Let me see if you're about midos. Let me see your skin type.
What you're wearing.
What you're wearing.
Yeah.
Shtus. Who's going to look at what somebody's wearing? Shtuyot. What do you do? Rosh Hashiva is going to look at what kind of hat you're wearing, what kind of beard you have, what kind of pays you have. Chalila. Couldn't happen, such a thing, right? So what then? You take it, let me see what you understand. Let me see what you know. Let me see very, very deep. Let me see very, very deep. It could be like this, that what we're saying is, so what are we looking at the skin deep of the esrog? The answer is, do we want to know, did the lave actualize ad hasof? Did it get from gadol to hod to hador? That's what we're looking for. Lakachtem lachem Adam HaRishon creates Hador. Want something that developed beautifully. If something is theoretically great, but lemaisa doesn't happen, like Aristotle, So Aristotle was anti same-sex relationships. He writes it, says it, told it to his Talmidim. He and his Talmidim were all Shochvei Zachar. Alexander the Great, he himself. So they asked him, what's the pshat? So he says, what was the famous line? Do as I say, not as I do. Huh?
From him?
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do. means MS, that there's such a thing. Like, just because it's true, by the way, it's true with all of us, true with you, it's true with me. I mean, don't do what I do. but if you really want a Rebbe, if you really want a Rebbe, so you can learn from him, but you got to watch what he does. That's what it. People are doing this to a fault, but it's really what he does. So it's really looking at the skin, the pnimi. It's like if you're writing me a check for tzedakah, so I'm looking at the check, but deep inside I'm really looking at, can you cover the check? A check, very nice, $100,000, $1 million. Yeah, go. Hod Hadar. That's the Hador is very nice, Be Moshe for shlish, hinder mitzvah. But the main thing, of course, is the Hod. So it's when we're talking about an Esrog, we're talking about ad kedei Hadar. When we're talking about Yehoshua, we're ein ha'olam yicholim lamoid by. If he would have the Hod of Moshe Rabeinu and not the Hador, that's what it means. Ein kol ha'olam yicholim lamoid by. Nobody would be able to approach him, and so Yehoshua in this sense was further developed. He was a Moshe plus.
So Moshe didn't have it then.
He didn't have right. In other words, Moshe Rabeinu had to put a mask on.
Because he didn't have
Moshe Rabeinu had to hang out in the olamot beside him. He became a holy man. It was unapproachable. But that was compatible. That was compatible to the midbar.
But if
Yeshua
had the Hod was taken away from Yeshua. It's not Yeshua didn't have the Hod, right?
Because Hod and Hod, the question is like this: can you have Hod and Hador completely at the same time? So apparently, you're asking a deep thing, and I'm going to attempt to answer that. Hadar, the Chazal say on this pasuk, Hod v'Hadar levashta, that the only Metzias of complete Hod with complete Hadar is Chazal, is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Otherwise, you got to take a little bit away from the Hod for the Hadar, isn't it the emes?
What does that mean, though?
It means the check itself costs 15 cents. Like, in other words, it means to say that if somebody's going, if let's say you have this great Talmud Chacham, great Tzaddik, great Gadol, if he's making himself approachable, so some of the Hod is being removed for the sake of Hadar.
It's like you said before about you happen to identify with the Avera for someone to come and say what he did wrong. Like, remember that?
Yeah, the Balatanya.
The Balatanya.
So some of the Hod has to be compromised for the sake of approachability.
Yeah.
Yep. I did ever tell you the story when I went to Brisk, to learn in Brisk. Brisk was ostensibly a hard yeshiva to get into, or Barrels Halavech Fellow Shalom. So he gives you for hair. You don't know what you're going to get prepared on, so he's learning kachim. I wasn't learning kachim. So you prepare something, some kind of a Torah, but you never know what's going to happen. So the nervous, you prepare. What are you going to prepare? A whole shas? You don't know what he's going to ask you. So you prepare the best you can. A Dvar Torah. I went to Rav Barrel and he said to me, Amerikaner? So I said, yeah. He says, where are you from in America? He was never in America. Where are you from in America? Buffalo, New York. Okay. Probably got up there, right? So he said to me, Buffalo is near Niagara Falls. Yeah, Rav Barrel's elevation. So I said, that's correct. Niagara Falls is our backyard. And then he said to me, the whole world goes to see Niagara Falls. What's special about Niagara Falls? So I said, Niagara Falls is beautiful. And there's a tremendous amount of kavura that comes from it that I know. So he says, does electricity come from Niagara Falls? So I said, yes, electricity comes from Niagara Falls. So he says to me, how does that work? If you're the Faherbi camp. Not Kosh, not Menachos, not Zvachim, not Krisos, not Kedushin, not Gittin. How do they get lights out of Niagara Falls? What's the shot? Like, he had no interest at all in my learning. Nothing, and everything I said, are you sure? You sure that's the way it works? So I finally was able to muster up everything that I heard since I was in kindergarten to try to figure out how do you get electricity out of Niagara Falls. Anybody know exactly how you get that? Well, turns these big wheels. The water turns these big wheels. The big wheel, therefore, what happens when you turn wheels? You get lights. All right. Well, the light. Like I was really struggling with this thing, And so after we had this 10-minute discussion about how you get electricity from Niagara Falls, he said, "Okay, you can come to my yeshiva."
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have to build a turbine.
I think he was thinking of installing a generator. I think that's what he was.
You had property manager, building manager.
I go with his building manager.
Were you shocked?
Is a half of a fellow, no? I mean, what's the shot is he wasn't looking at the you can come and talk and learn it. You can prepare it to our Torah. It could be the best of our Torah in the world, but it's only Hador. There's no Hod. So let me ask you a kasha on a sugia that you didn't prepare. What does it mean? If somebody says they're prepared to our Torah, what does it mean? You read it, you thought about it. What does it mean? It doesn't show the previous Hadar. How often are you learning with somebody showing the previous Hadar? So his Hadar was the same bechina could be in Milah Da'alma as it could be in Milah D'Shmaya. There's no nafkamina because we're talking about the Omek Hadavar. Okay.
The way probably the Rav answered and that we was looking for.
Yeah. Can you think? Surprisingly, I passed.
How does the Hod Hadar match with this sphere?
So how does Hod Hadar match with the sphere? So he's telling us this, the Alshich, exactly this, right? He's saying that he's talking about this pasuk of Hod Hadar Lavashta. So he's saying that Hod Hadar, exactly this. Beis Olamas Elu Nikroim L'Chachmei Oemes Olam Debria V'Yitzira V'Heim Kilavushim Lalakusum Esachim V'Harishin Hanelam Kara Hoid V'Shuinyin Hispashtus Hasheva V'Abeis HaMiskale Yoiser L'Nivroim Kara Hadar. So Bria is Hod and Yitzira is Hadar. So am I making myself clear that Hod has to come until Hadar? Hod V'Hadar Lavashta is Hod is the pneumius, and Hadar is the chitzonius. Nobody's looking for the Hadar. So what are we saying in the Chumash? You're saying Loisedar Pnei Gadol means if you're giving him a hiddur without a hoid. You're giving him a hiddur, you're giving him kavod, this pasnish, that we're not paskening like him and that he should come out. Chayiv B'din is in the newspapers, that's not the way to do it. So you're doing Hadar, but says the Torah, that's not enough, but Sedek Tishbait Avisecha. That you have to be able to cover that check. To give Hadar without having the hoid behind it is skin deep. We're against that. We're against that. Looking at that type of an esrog, where it's only skin. You can't just take the skin.
They're both called levush. They're both called.
And they're both levushim because they're levushim of atzilus.
So why still it's the symmetric? It's not working here still. Why there's no concept of Hadar by the onion?
So I'm saying that Hadar, what we're saying is don't bring up the ani and don't bring up the Ashir. No. Hadar is down. That's the teretz, the Maikasha. That loy sisa pnei dal, v'loy sedar pnei gadol. The Hador is don't bring them down to a level of espasnish sepastia, like of chitzonius. Don't bring them down to a level of Hador. Deal in both cases with the emes, which is the pnimius hadavar, which is called tzedek. But tzedek tishbait is how we said. So it's exactly the same thing. It's exactly balanced.
Is Hadar also parallel to Yesod? Is it in terms of you have?
We're not talking about. We're talking about the olamot. We're talking about the olamot. Let me just finish this. Inyan tzimtzum hanakuda klapi malo loyla hadar gudula yechashet. Mamish our words that the inyan of the tzimtzum is not lehei oder ayin. It's not to push away that which is good, that which is deeper. Adirava gadalta ma'oi hoi hispashtus hakedusha al yoina hadar behikas ahoid mehoid mahola atsoif eser elamas. Ubebrias ha'olam asa mehoid b'hadar l'vushechad b'imkei nisala ha'hadar v'nistarach l'hoid ha'elyon shloi olav v'nitztam tzemim kaiman. So Alshich. He was the one in Tzvas that wasn't a makobel. So the Chaver of the Arizal, Alshich HaKadosh, the Darshan. He was a Darshan. But so what we have here is just very important. There's a Chiddush v'hadarta pnei zaken mipnei seva takum. V'adarta pnei zaken. Rashi says, "Mipnei seva takum yochol afilu seva ashma'i." Maybe even it's talking about a bad, dirty old man. You're supposed to stand up for him. Mipnei seva takum. No, v'adarta pnei zaken. Since the Torah now changes the word to zaken, comes to teach you on the first part of the pasuk of ein zaken elami shekana chachma. Meaning like this: Hava mina v'adarta pnei zaken, or just if it would just say pnei seva takum, it's mamash chitzoni. It's just on the outside. So see, an old guy stand up for him. Emes. I mean, that's the halacha. You stand up for an old person. The Rashi explains because he has life's nisyonos behind. But not if he's an ashmai, not if he's a rasha or a bad person, or he learned the wrong shot in all of his experiences. There's nothing to. People say they're very experienced, so you've been making the same mistake for 60 years. Experience is no mileage. Unless you learn from your experience, there's no Haber experience. It's actually terrible. I mean, people have been counseling people for 40 years, So you're like really good at giving bad advice. It's like that. Experience. Experience is the shot that Baal HaNesayin is the person that learned something from all the things that he went through. But this is the point. This is how you learn this pasuk. Mipnei seva takum yachol zafdrashi afilu ashmai zaken afilu seva ashmai. That we're not talking about only the skin deep hidurim that you give to a Talmud Chacham or you give to a Seva who has the life's experience. Hadarta pnei zaken ein zaken elami shekana chachma. So we work from the when are you hadarta pnei zaken if there's a hoid there? Ein zaken. Dalachem, says Rashi, ein zaken elami shekana chachma. And then don't think, this is the pshat in this pasuk. Chazal, don't think that, well, he doesn't need the superficial, kibudim, you stand up for him, don't call him by his name, all those, you do him, lo yeshiv bim chaimai, lo yamoid bim chaimai. No. Why are those things important? So superficial, so not Jewish, so not spiritual. Why are those things important? Because Hadar is the perach of Hod. It's the faricha of Hod. I said it last week. Why was Avram Avinu taken with Yishmael? Because he was para Adam. Because his para Adam. This was a development where it was a hiskalus and a hispashtus. Yodei bakol v'yad kol boy para Adam. Lashon pri.
Outgrowth.
An outgrowth.
Hadar is a pricha of Hod.
Hador. Pre-Eitz Hador. So v'hadarta pnei zaken means ein zaken el mishkan chachma, that don't think that you only have to do the Hod level, but you should do this level, because the whole point of this mitzvah and all the mitzvahs is to bring the Shekhinah into this world. So if it doesn't look like this, then you didn't bring the Shekhinah into this world. V'zeh pshat kol ha-mitzvahs kulam. That's what it's all about. L'maisa. If something doesn't come ad l'maisa, so then it's not complete. If something is only l'maisa, yachol afilu seva hashma, it's only l'maisa, so then you have a mitzvah shaloi l'shma. And if somebody is giving a kibud without a kavod, it's actually offensive. Kibud without kavod is offensive.
What's the yes? Why it's called kisei hakavod?
Kisei hakavod, because it's pnimi. In other words, kisei hakavod is the interchange, the transition place between gadalta ma'od. It's all in this pasuk, this beautiful pasuk. Between gadalta ma'od, which we can't even be masing, kisei hakavod. And kisei here does not mean chair; it means kisui. Kisui hakavod. It's a mesach. Maybe we should just forget about the chair. Except that in Yeshayahu it says that Shamayim kis'i va'aretz hadoim raglai. But I don't know if that means the kisei hakavod.
But the kisei is the Hador then, right?
The kisei is the transition between Hod and Hador.
It's the surface.
Right. And the neshamas are created there. So here's my point. My point is that we're looking at something very deep, but we're bringing it all the way l'maisa. So this is the theme of Hod v'Hadar, that it goes all the way down till it comes l'maisa. See, I'm thinking. I have a thought like this, that the Gemara says in Brachos, two places. The Gemara says that La'olam yarutz adam likros Malchei Yisrael. A person should run to see Malchei Yisrael. Melech, David HaMelech, all the different malachim. You should run to see them. L'ay Malchei Yisrael b'vad amru afilu Malchei Akum. And even Goyish kings, you should go run to see. Shim tiskeh tavchin be'Malchei Akum l'Malchei Yisrael. Be'Malchei Yisrael l'Malchei Akum. So you should be able to see the difference. Okay, the Pashat Pshat in that Gemara is that there's a halacha that you should go look at Malchei Akum. So if you're zoifet to when Mashiach comes, you'll see the difference. Why is it so important to run so I can see the difference? Why is that such a important nekuda? Do we look at all ugly things so we should see the difference between ugly and beautiful? Do we look at all tamei things so we should see the difference between tamei and tahar? So why do we have to look at Malchei Akum? So the king of Jordan is coming here, so we need to look at him so that we can understand better Mashiach. And now we're not going to understand it immediately, but in Tiske, if you're Zeiche, you'll be able to be Mafkin by Malchei Akum, Malchei Yisrael. But was tutzach da? And the Gemara says further. Actually, the Gemara says earlier, quoting the same brisa. I think one's on Chafez, one's on Vav, maybe. The Gemara says, "Halacha l'maisa medalgin hayinu al gabi aroyne shel meisim likras Malchei Yisrael." Kohanim used to run along. The Gemara is talking about a sugia of whether the Beis HaKfaris is metamei or not. If there's a cholol tefa. So the Gemara says, "Medalgin hayinu al gabi aroyne shel meisim." We used to run across the Beis HaKfaris likras Malchei Yisrael to greet Malchei Yisrael. The loy Malchei Yisrael. Not only Malchei Yisrael, Amrul Afilu Malchei Akum. We used to run across the Beis HaKfaris. This is the time of Rav Yochanan and Zakkai.
Is that the only reason why, or is it just to see some Malchus?
So they were seeing Malchus. First of all, so who were they going to run to see? Who are they going to run to see? If you do the Cheshbon and the Gemara, who are they running to see? Malchei Yisrael, there weren't. So they said, okay, it's not only Malchei Yisrael, Malchei Akum also. Where's Malchei Akum? You know where they're running to see? Titus, the butcher. They're running to see. Can you imagine like somebody running across the fields to take a look at Hitler? what's the like? What's up? This halacha. Loi Malchei Yisrael b'vadav, or afilu Malchei Yaakov. It's established that he has to be a tzaddik of some sort, Melech of Chesed. There was no Melech of Chesed at the time of the Chorban Beis Hamikdash. We're all talking Rishonim one after the other. We're all Tavachim.
Make the same bracha on him.
Same thing.
Same
thing. So Shim Tiska Tavchin, I'll tell you, the pshat is like this: that Malchus, which is the final sefirot, comes, which is at the end of Hadar in the olamot. Malchus is what's up on a higher level of Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod. When it comes to earth, that's Megala, what was there earlier. So Malchus, no matter how it comes out, is the permeation of the earth, which what came earlier. If we're Zoiche, we have Malchei Yisrael, we have a Kedusha in the world. If we're not Zoiche, it's Malchei Akum. The bigger the Rishonim, the better. What Chazal were being Madrich, the Talmidim, to do is to run to see Malchus. You should run to see Malchus, not Malchus run to see, cool kings and armies and changing of the guard. Yeah, but what you're running to see is what happens when something hits the ground, when something permeates the ground. It's like, go look at a weed. That's our science class for today. Go look at a tree that didn't work out. Look what happens when there's a chesaron in the bria and the yetzira of the world. If you're not masakin earlier, yachol afilu seva Shamayim. I might think it was even a Russia. It's still Malchus. That's the chiddush. It's still Malchus. In Tisket Tavchen, you should be able to look at a Russia. And by the way, the halachas, you look at the Malchus. Al tistakel b'fnei Russia. I'll take a look at the padim of the Russia. That's already too much. But at the Malchus of the Russia, look what Malchus is. The Malchus can come out very good, and Malchus can come out so bad. And it doesn't mean when Mashiach comes, I believe this is the pshat, it doesn't mean when Mashiach comes, you'll see what real Malchus is. No, this is real Malchus. But this is Malchus gone awry. This is Malchus where this is a bad check. But it is Malchus, it's because there's something that is from the Sitra Achra, which is permeating the world. Sitra Achra is also in the world of Bria, by the way. So there's a Ra. Remember, we're learning Rav Tzadok, that's what we're going to get back to next week, that the Makor HaRa also can be taken the wrong way, all the way down a line of Ra, and that's the Malchus you're seeing. If you understand what can happen when something is not Mesukan on a Pnimi level, on the Hod level, when you can see the Hadar, and it's a bad Hadar, so now Tiske Lahavchin, now you can understand how important it is. This is what Chazal are being madra, to be Mesakin everything in the world of Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, in the world of Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, in the world of our Leiv, in the world of our Neshama. So yes, Malchus. So when you're looking at the skin of that esrog, you're looking at Malchus as a mashal to Malchus, and that's really what it is, Al Pi Kabbalah. It's a mashal to Malchus, but that the Malchus came out good. Because if the Malchus comes out bad, they say beauty is only skin deep. Ugly is not always skin deep. Like if the peel comes out bad, it means that there's probably something wrong in the makar. Because we're learning now that Hadar is a hiskalus, as the Alshich of Hod. Everything is a hiskalus. So Hod Hadar levashta. One is a hiskalus of the other. V'hadarta, just to summarize the whole thing, v'hadarta pnei zaken means that ein zaken ela mishakana chachma. Yes, there's a hiddur because things have to come all the way to earth, but not a zaken ashmai but that also comes to earth. But you don't have to give covet to that. You have to run to see it. You have to run to see it. Shim tiske tavchen. Nobody's standing up for Titus. Unless you want to preserve your head. But im tiske tavchen me malchi tavchen. Like the idea is like look at it as a lamdan. When you see something which became Malchus Hara. Malchus Hara. So that Lo'olam Yarutz Adam. This is what a person has to Hadrach and Chazal. A person has to run to see Malchus. in Tiska, and if you're Zoicha, to be a London, in Tiska Tafkin, by Malchi Yisrael and Malchi Akim, you can see how Malchus can come out in two different ways. You can come out in the Tzad HaTov, come out in the Tzad HaRa. When it hits the earth, it can come out in two ways. Eretz Yisrael is Malchus. Paltern Shel Melech. It's Malchus. It's Niktas B'Yisrael. Very difficult to hit the earth. The guy who's very difficult to hit the earth. But when you hit the earth, you can hit the earth and it can become the most beautiful Eretz Yisrael possible. It can become a Beis HaMikdash. It can become a Makom of Shechina. It can become a Makom of peace. It can become a Makom of spirituality. Or if it hits the ground, you can see possibly in Tel Aviv what you don't even see in Times Square. The Malchus can be the worst Malchus possible. And look at it.
You're looking at potential.
You're looking at what happens when there's no depth to the Hador.
Because the height is missing.
Because the height is missing. Cover that check. Yeah.
Rabbi Yerucham, I think it's Rabbi Yerucham, they say used to go to look at lions.
Lions?
To be misbinding in the meat of Malchus. And there is there a rat in that, or is there what's?
He's the lion of the animal king, the king of the forest. Yeah.
It reminds me of what you were teaching about Rabbi Meir and the sheriff. You can see the inside.
Look at the inside. The X-ray vision.
Right.
See, Acher is very interesting. Like Elisha ben Avuya seems to be Hod without Hadar. I think Chazal itself were arguing about this. I mentioned it once. Is he? What one Gemara says he's an egos. An egos means the inside is good. The inside is good, but you got to get past that klipa. So he's Hod without Hadar. Obar Rava, no. Doiber letamar. He's more like a date. A date, the outside is good, the inside is bad. Throw away the inside. So it means he has Hadar, but he doesn't have Hod. Right? Or Ravashi, Doiber remind. Remind is all mixed up. The Hadar, it's completely, so you don't know what part you're supposed to eat, what part you're not supposed to eat. So the Rabbi Haber had a real job according to that, like Rabbi Haber says, Riboid Matzasi, Klipasai Zarati, Toichai Oichalti. It's all Hod v'Hadar. And Rabbi Haber was Bataras Hasheretz. He was able to see what's in the inside. So Rabbi Haber obviously held that his Toich was good. But it was Hod without Hadar, so we have to push him away. And for that matter, we have to push away Rabbi Haber also. Ein b'doirei k'vay Rabbi Haber, ve'ein halacha k'vay say. Halacha is where all of that Hod comes to practice. That's the posek. Rabbi Haber wasn't a posek. Ein halacha k'vay. You can't paskin by the inside. Establish your Rabbi without his name. Adrab, it's an Irish. But he was the big ein b'doirei k'vay Rabbi Haber, the Gemara says. But why is the halacha so important? Why don't we say Rabbi Haber? Why? Because the Hod has to manifest itself into the Hadar Tifnei Zakesh. So you need both things, Hod v'Hadar. You need Hod v'Hadar.
So why is Yosef, the beauty of Yosef, emphasized so much? If he's Yesod, he's not there at Malchus yet. It sounds
external.
It's not there yet, right? So, but yet the Hadar, it sounds like he's Hadar, and yet Malchus is only later that Malchus is.
One second. You see, one second. Yosef was Midas HaYesod. While they were selling Yosef down the river, Yehuda and Tabar were having a story. Vayi Bayi Sahi. So there was Malchus being created at the same time as the Yesod, the Malchus of Yesod, which is completely external. So he had beauty. It was like he had beauty, and he had inner beauty also, but it was all the midah of Yesod. Yehuda and Tabar had to really bite the dust in order to create the real Malchus, which is the Malchus Yisrael. So that's a different type of a Malchus, which comes about through Yisur. So you have the Malchus of David, who's Shlomo, Malchus David and Shlomo, which you have to, as Tzemach David Avdecha. But Tzmiach Yeshua, it has to be a Tzemach. Okay. Ein lo davar soif, so we'll...